that's a positive sign. I mean, that's what you want to hear, really, because that proves that you're not crazy. Because the educated and experienced people who are now happy with what they do are no longer there. They've moved on to somewhere else. And the fact that they were there and they moved on is kind of positive for you because you can follow their example. It is what it should be. A master's degree should mean that a person is a master of the topic. Yeah. Um, it's should be that that person is almost unequaled in their their knowledge. That if somebody needs to go to somebody, they go to somebody um, with a great deal of specific and non-specific experience in the topic. Um, the word master is actually a unification of two different words that we use in English: mast and star. Mast and star. And star obviously has a relationship to heavenly bodies. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to talk astrology, okay, and astrology works for you, then we can look at it from this perspective, right? So perhaps the astrological features were pointing you in the direction that you needed to work more with the stars. So therefore, going for a master's degree would be going to have perhaps more contact with the universal principles that are very important. Now, the other half of the word, the mast. Now, maybe you know the origin of the word mast from a ship. If you've got a ship and the ship has sails that catch the wind. The 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 tall, big, thick piece of wood going straight up the main part of the ship is called the mast. Yeah, and so um, without this main mast, the ship would not have any power or basically or direction. It wouldn't be able to go anywhere. And so the word master is this relationship to control, power, direction, which from ships in history, that meant they could trade, they could make money, they could travel, they could invest in commerce and do business. And so a person who is a master of the subject should be a person who understands that they can go somewhere with the knowledge that they have. So it's, I think it's an interesting little bit of history there. That words, just like words, exist for very specific reasons. There are very, very few words that just are. Very, very few. There are some, but they're very, very few. Think about the word behavior, for example. You break it down, it's be, have, and our. It's what we have and who we are. That is our behavior. So almost, not all words, but most words, especially the important words. What we import, what we bring in to ourselves has great value. So it's important to realize that. And when you get your master's degree in language, I would expect that these ideas would be clearer to you within language. And that gives you great control. Because when you break down the words to understand, which is stand under the meaning, because when someone asks you, do you understand? They're actually saying, I'm above you. Can you follow my orders?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. you stand under another person. Yeah. So when someone asks you if you understand, it's important to know what that really means. Um, it's important to understand the management, age meant, man as in person, age as in time, and ment as in mente of the Latin mind, from the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So um, so is this is very powerful. Getting more knowledge about the language, which is really the land gauge. It's the measure of where a person is from. All of those elements, extremely important. What is a school? Well, a school originally is the collective noun for a group of fish. Fish not really considered to be the most intelligent of creatures. I'm sure they have their own internal intelligence, but you don't see fish building cars or designing computers or spaceships or things, or making ice cream or I don't know, whatever crazy things that people do. Um, but school is school because of the. If you've ever seen films of how a lot of fish move when they're together, yeah, they all move in the same direction in the same way. They move like it's not. They move like it's not a group of fish, like it's just one big fish. The way that they move, and that is one of the principles of why schools were called schools. And there's lots of other little elements there in the language that are um, that are important to understand. And it is very powerful because then when we communicate with people and we listen carefully to what they say, we can more clearly understand what they're thinking. Employment. What is a ploy? A ploy is a task that you give somebody to waste their time.
Mm.
If you look at the original meaning of a ploy, what's the ploy? What's the scheme? Yeah. So all these things very important. All of those elements of words related to school, pupil, teacher, class. It's a really powerful word, the word class. Yeah. Because you don't escape your class.
Mm.
You're always with the same class. So all of those things matter. Staff room. What are staff? Staff originally was the stick, the walking stick carried by shepherds or wizards, if you look into magical history.
Mm.
Yeah, wizards. If you had a staff, then you were able to use magic to change people. And so the staff are the force for change. Grammar. What's the origin of the word grammar? Grimoire, which is the book of black magic.
Mm.
Magic was using language to change people or influence people. Influence people. To control their direction. Direction. Di means two. As in distance. Distance. Two places. What's your direction? Why is it two? Shouldn't direction be one? There's a lot. There's a lot. There's a lot to think about. There really is. Sometimes words are just words, but sometimes they're not. They're much more powerful. Uh, and when we listen clearly and carefully to what it is that people say, we can we can we can grow, because the knowledge that we get is the knowledge we get when we're silent in conversation and listening carefully to what it is that other people are saying. Um, there's there are many people out there who are less intelligent than you who have master's degrees. I'm sure that you will not have a problem with that process. That doesn't mean that it will be easy, but I think that it's a process that you will be able to achieve. Um, Connecting with that idea, let me read you the next little paragraph in the article I wrote, because it all connects together. Um, Seek to be uninhibited, to not be limited. Every day is a process with the opportunity to develop more and error less. Perhaps you need your errors. Gosh, it's almost like I wrote this for our conversation today. Funny how it all fits together sometimes, isn't it? Yeah. Perhaps you need your errors. It is flaws and the breaks and the fractures and ripples that we study. Not that which remains the same, but that which changes. If you don't love learning, then you don't love life. If you make no excuses, then you will have no regrets. If you hold yourself accountable, then you will know who is to blame. Business is the business of finishing what you started. Work hard and let others come to their own inevitable conclusions. So it has a relationship, I think, to our conversation today, which is that that as long as we grow, I think we know we're going in the right direction. Yeah. Knowledge, no edge, to be on the edge of something, is always I think, a difficult experience for people, to be on the edge of something. There's always a risk involved in that. What was it the Slovaks said? The Slovaks had a great phrase that they had. But the Slovaks said something like "Neexistuje zisk bez risk." They had the zisk and risk, which is zisk is making a profit. There's no profit without risk. The Slovaks had a phrase: "There's no profit without risk." Profit, double meaning, right? Profit is one word with two meanings, but really there's only one meaning, because it's both the same thing. Because originally prophets were religious teachers who brought value to people through religion, but it has come to have a different meaning in the modern age.